Well, good morning, Bill. I'm looking at your signature and I see a new name right there. It says Reese Financial. What's going on?
I have, made the move to a new company. I
And
went
why did you change?
had to go 100% broker.
Oh,
So,
okay. So,
about
what's the
3
difference between the broker and the banker or not broker?
so it's really honestly the direct pricing,
Okay.
uh, that you get from the investors, so you don't have corporate overhead, division overhead, uh,
Hmm.
just allows you to have now the book of options multiplies. It's almost unlimited, right?
Okay.
Uh, because you talk to the investors directly.
Hmm.
Whereas, prior in the banking or banking broker hybrid models that I've been a part of the last few years, which are phenomenal, and I really miss that companies already, uh, they have a, uh, they have corporate, they have overhead. So it allows me to have more direct communication with the investors as well. They have
Now, I
a
know in the past, some people have been concerned like a broker versus a banker, like the banker's got the underwriter right there. So, tell me, like, why is that not so relevant for, like, I know it may be a somewhat a little bit antiquated thinking, but explain to me why that wouldn't really matter.
I mean, having an underwriter in the office that you can walk down and talk a file out is like worth it in gold, right?
Mhm.
That was a real tough part about me making this decision, but I think it also depends on the experience you have as an originator as well, and knowing what certain conditions might come up in the future. Honestly, in the broker world, it's opened back up. It's not there's not a week turn time, right?
Mhm.
7 day turn time anymore. It's 24, 48 hours, and
Wow.
honestly, as an originator, I mean, I've been doing this for 9, almost 10 years. I have a pretty darn good idea what conditions might come up later on, and I can address that earlier. Uh,
Yeah.
whereas when I was newer in the industry, I really benefited from having the mentorship from the underwriter being in the
Well,
office,
that makes
right?
sense.
So,
Wow.
that's kind of like, I don't knock either one because phenomenal experience, phenomenal opportunities at the previous company. This was something that I've been thinking about going with broker for better part of a few years.
Okay.
And just finally, I was like, okay, it's time to do it and get out there and really offer more to my clients, um, and get that knowledge and experience of working directly with investors.
Hmm. Okay.
Pretty
Well, cool.
exciting.
Well, I'm excited for you and excited to see all the ways you can help clients. So, speaking of that, it's already warm in Phoenix and in the valley. And, this is good. It's so funny. Everybody's always saying, small talk is about weather and stuff like that. Like, no, like main talk is about weather here in Arizona, especially when it hits like 106 in March. Like, that's all time records for us. So, when I know we own properties, you and I both own properties up in the White Mountains, and my daughter goes to school in Flagstaff, and we started to see this, like, all of a sudden people are up there very early because 80 up there, 85 degrees, and it's beautiful. And now we're starting to see people who have come out in the past couple of weeks because I do have a couple listings up in Shoalone and Lakeside. They're starting to look early this year. Now, I
Well,
want to talk a little bit about that. Was that?
it was already what 105 degrees already, or 107, whatever it was that one.
Yes, and I was actually up in Shoalone, and it was kind of warm there. It was like 92 or something. It was warm,
Oh wow.
but I'll be honest, it was better than the 106 or 7 down here, or it was 85. I forget, but it was a temperature difference that was significant enough that made it quite lovely, especially in the evenings because it gets down to like the 40s. So that was kind of nice. Now, with that being said, this is I used to joke June is buy a house in the White Mountains month. I think I'm now going to say April. I feel like you will get a lot more bang for your buck right now if you start shopping now for it. And you can see that you can spend April, May, June, like probably through November, um, and do all the things and not just the White Mountains, of course, Flagstaff, Munns Park, Prescott, Can, Crown King, Happy Jack. That was the other one I was thinking about. I was about to say Crown Jack, but that's not right. So, but depends on what you want as a buyer, right? So every place has something different. Flagstaff has a very cute little downtown area, very trendy, a little bit pricier. Prescott, Sedona, or Prescott, Payson, like they're all on that same kind of elevation line, that
Mhm.
5,300.
Yeah.
So you don't drop a ton of degrees, but it is a much easier commute, I guess you could say, right? Payson, you could be to Phoenix an hour and a half, right? So there's some benefit to that. You go an hour and a half a little further, you can be in Sholo where it's 6,300. Or then on the way there, you can hit Forest Lakes, which is 7,300, but not a ton of amenities. Like your closest grocery store is probably going to be Payson, things like that. There's little general markets. And there's all those in betweens, right? Either totally off the road, you need a 4-wheel drive to get to your place, or you have some trendy fun stuff.
Many different options. That's
Tons of
great.
different options. Yes. Now, just because we have Arizona state licenses, you can do this. I can't show, or I can, but I won't show in places I don't know, right? I don't do Flagstaff. I don't do Prescott. We have great partners for that, but but we usually know, right? We know all the little things that people, Prescott downtown, like everybody loves that courthouse area. Like that's super fun.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about, we have all this diversity in locations. I'm sure there's diversity in loans that you can get for these investment properties too.
Oh, absolutely. And so, yeah, there's a few different options. Depends what you're looking for occupancy, right? So
Okay.
you primary occupancy, you have second home, and you have investment properties, right? Uh, Second home, you can get that second place meant for a cabin. That's meant for a place up north, right?
Now let
Uh,
me ask you this. If you go the second home route, are you still allowed to rent it out when you're not there?
so that's a gray area. That
Okay.
that that is a very gray area. It They say with the second home, it's at 6 months, right? Is
Okay.
that 6 months? It's your property essentially.
Okay.
So it's a very gray area.
Is that like a CPA question maybe? Or I guess I can ask on the loan side, if you buy it as a second home, but you rent it out, like maybe your friends and family want to borrow it or use it and you rent it out to them, is that okay? Or do you guys
I mean,
see it as
as long with the occupancy, as long as it's your second home, it's not your primary. You're not
okay?
renting out 100% on a 12-month contract, right?
But not dumping it on Airbnb and saying, "Hey, my place is available. Here's my open calendar."
Yeah, I mean, just being cognizant of that. It's about the honesty,
Okay.
right? Now, with how they've adjusted pricing, second homes used to be the same rate as primary.
I remember
Pretty
those days.
but that got adjusted a couple years ago, right? So
Mhm.
when I'm comparing like a second home versus an investment property, sometimes the rate is the same or a little better going on investment property,
Okay.
which is shocking. But the nice
Why
thing
would
about
that be?
property is that you could use the scheduled rent, you know,
Mhm.
long-term rent to qualify for that mortgage, right?
Okay.
Your principal, taxes, insurance is $3,000 a month. Well, the appraiser will do a scheduled rent comparison, an appraisal on rental income, and tell us 2,500 that you can get out of that home for 12 months. Well, I can use 75% of that 2,500 to qualify. So it helps investors open up opportunities for them to get into the homes because we're using qualifying long-term investment income.
Okay, let me ask you this question though. So I have a house up in Shello that is an investment property, but I do it as an Airbnb so I can do weekend rentals. I don't do long-term rentals. Does that change how I get the loan or any part of it? Or do they still just go with what a long-term rate would be?
So yeah, that's a good question. Even though Airbnb and VRBO has been around for a while, it is really tough to change guidelines on mortgages in general. To the
Okay.
guidelines, right? So if you're doing a refinance on that property, then we're going to take the income from the tax returns.
If you're doing
Okay.
a refund, you take into okay.
Yeah. And so, but if you're doing a purchase, there
Mhm.
are some investors coming out that are allowing us to use AirDNA.
Oh, that's a great site.
Yeah, to help
Mhm.
um, the short-term rental proposing.
Okay.
Uh, they just require usually 25% down on those investment properties
Mhm.
and using it towards DSCR, which is that debt service coverage ratio loan
Okay. And that's okay on investments.
on investment properties.
Okay.
So it appears investors are becoming more and more open to that short-term rental income.
So when you say investors, you're talking about your people, your lender people, you're like the investors that are buying to the loans, not us who are buying the property.
Yeah, so like
Okay.
the AirDNA income being
Mhm.
used, that short-term rental, isn't in the conventional bucket. The
Okay.
conventional bucket, they're gonna use the long-term rental.
Okay.
So these are more out of the box investors, right?
Mhm.
That are using that to close deals, right? Which makes sense. Um, I think I think in the future that those guidelines might be changed or updated. I think so. It just takes a long uh
Yeah.
to get anything changed.
Well, I
So
think and I know Airbnb VRBO has been around for a long time, but we really never I feel like I blame everything on HGTV. I swear. Until like done some of those shows about buy your second home and make your payments type thing, right? Like people really
well,
didn't get into that investing a ton.
and you and I are both in the VRBO Airbnb market,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And it ebbs and flows. Let's be honest, especially in certain
Oh yeah.
markets.
Yes, of
Uh,
course.
and there's other websites out there that can help to
Oh, Furnish Finders, Airbnb, VRBO. What are some other ones? I travel, I trip. I think
I took vacations, another
I trip.
one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
There's
so
a ton of sites.
there's a whole bunch of different ones. I think with the problem that like Fannie, Freddie, the conventional world has potential issues with it is predicting those ebbs and flows to help qualifying, right? Whereas a long-term
Sounds, but
renter,
I get it.
yeah, for 12 months under a contract.
Yeah, but that also ebbs and flows too. I mean, when you look at rental rates from 2020 to now, talk about ebbs and flows because in
But they don't
2021, 22, you would have had a nice little, but now you're kind of like, we've settled in a little bit.
Fannie and Freddie just like the long-term look. They
Yeah.
don't like that you could just VRBO it for one weekend or one week.
Right.
You
I
know,
know.
they want that consistent income that they're looking for. I mean, like case in point, I always tell clients there's qualifying income and there's income you actually make. Two very
Right.
different things, right?
Right. Right.
Like you look at overtime. We have to take that average over 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you might be crushing it right now. You might be putting in 20, 30 hours of overtime, right? They got to take the average, so
Mhm.
those guidelines are all about the most conservative income approach and trying to establish stability is kind of
And
what
I
this.
get it. I understand finances and, being conservative with some things. But sometimes I also feel like, all right, well, we also need to step up into what is currently happening. And, we want to make people as wealthy as possible. And investment properties are a good way to get that done. And something I want to make note of too, with when you're buying an investment property, if you're 1031 exchanging like any from one property to another, um, the IRS from my CPA is what I understand is very particular. Like you have to make it an investment property. You can't call it a second home. So if it's a 1031 exchange, it has to be an investment property no matter what. And do not say anywhere on anything that you're ever planning on living in that property or doing anything like that is not the goal of this 1031 exchange. It is
Yep.
to be an investment property. What you choose to do with it potentially a few years down the road, but let's just keep that in your brain until, you're ready to
So,
make a choice. Yes. Do not like it is an investment property. That's its only goal. Now I understand sometimes you need to go up to the property and check on it. You need to do things like I know with us, we have to go winterize our house. We have to do stuff, right? That's totally acceptable. But don't be saying things like, oh, well, we're gonna make this our primary. Like, don't be saying that out loud. Just no. Don't
when
get
in
me.
doubt, don't post.
That is a brilliant. You know what? I really wish more people listened to that advice because that's very sane, great advice.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
so if you are getting hot in the valley and you want to choose to go up and check some places out, Bill and I both have houses and call us. We can, you can rent them. Um, they've
Happy the
and
outlet. You might gotta get out of this heat. It's getting warm.
I know it is, and I don't hate when I have to go unwinterize my house or go change out the decorations or go stop the place up. I don't mind doing that. It's okay. I know. Like darn it, Kate have, but um, and if you just want to take a look, I can show houses up there. We can take you around. Bill obviously can get you financed up there. Um, so we're happy. I know I'm happy to show off the White Mountains. I have a blast up there. A lot of our friends have houses, and we spent some time enjoying the gorgeous scenery, the lakes, the hiking. the wild animals, all those things. So, yep, yep. All right. Well, thank you, Bill. Appreciate you. Congratulations on your new move. We wish you a ton of success there, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you then.
Bye.